Welcome, welcome, welcome. You have made it into your playoffs. This is week 15. Can't believe we're here. This is the games that everybody has on their mind. I am so excited. I hope you guys are as well. I will get your questions answered, so please start asking them. As this goes on, I'm hoping that everything will go smoothly. But as you've seen in the past, it doesn't always go that way. So while everything is getting popped up, some things to note. One of my favorite players is out this week, C-Rod. I really had high hopes for him. Unfortunately, that pretty much makes the rest of your streaming option, well, your running back room becomes extremely more iffy, and I'm very much out on all of that. For the Commanders, I was really high on him, and I really had a lot of hope. So without him there, I become much more skeptical on that backfield for the Commanders. Other things that are, I guess, somewhat surprising. Adunze's in, which doesn't super surprise me, but it is a great matchup for him. So I'll be very curious to see how that ends up working out. Cedric Tillman's going to be in. Doesn't mean it's something I want. However, if you are looking for a streaming option this week, for example, you have Adonai Mitchell, I'd much rather play Juju Smith-Schuster. Too many other options. QJ being out, that'd be a good shift for you guys. So let's get this started. All right. That in mind, let's get your questions. Starting with Sterl, T. Lawrence or Bo Nix. This kind of comes down to what you need. So I think Trevor is significantly safer, but there's so much more upside for Nix. So I have Nix rated higher for that reason. But they're separated by 3 spots. And then Franklin or Warren. If there's any kind of PPR, I think Warren is actually going to be a safe play with Phillip Rivers. However, if you're scared of that, completely understand, and I'm fine rolling out Franklin. I think this is a game that both teams are going to have to throw quite a bit. So I'm definitely interested in that. All right. Josue, Nix or Herbert? It's Nix, and it's not close. What's up, Glitchy? Glad you can make it. All right. Watson or D Swift? Again, this really is dependent on what you need. Swift is a much safer option with the fact that we are uncertain of where Surtain's going to line up. It makes me much more confident in Swift and his playing style and his usage. And also, we aren't sure this is going to be Reed's second game back. How much is Watson going to be used? And then Mariota or Sam Darnold. Again, comes down to what you need. I think Mariota offers a lot more upside, so I have him ranked higher. But they are relatively close because, again, I'm more worried that Darnold will not have to do a whole lot this week. That defense should be able to hold them up pretty well, and so I'm very scared of playing Darnold as a starter for you. A lot more upside for Mariota. So, all right, Pistachio, playoff season, nice. So I'm needing 4 of these. It's going to be Slayton, Watson. Do I want Coker? I think I'm going to go Debo and Ladd. It's really close between Ladd and Coker, but I think this is a game that's going to be Keaton Mitchell. Yeah, not even Keaton Mitchell. I don't like that either. So much rather see Debo and Ladd for the upside opportunity. Coker's close because I do think that Ted's going to struggle a little bit in this matchup, but opportunity should be there for both. I understand if you don't want to play Ladd, I wouldn't want to play him either. So that's a really close one. If you want to play Coker, completely understand doing that. Helmosity, what's up? Survivor League, PPR, Jetta, or you're playing Adams. Jefferson, I barely have ranked as a flex this week. Not a good matchup for him. I don't like how JJ, he's getting double covered, so it doesn't help a whole lot. And so using him in this matchup, I can't do it. I'm not going to force you to do it. I don't want you to do it. I think it will hurt your team more than it will help. So I'd much rather go with the thing I know in Devontae Adams and Stafford, who have just been on a roll. So, all right, Josh, Rico, Marion, Singletary, J.J. Wilson. Okay, you're definitely playing Michael Wilson. You're definitely playing Waddle. Then it comes down to upside. If you're like me and want to go for upside, I'd go Watson and Sutton. If you are more risk averse, I'd then go Sutton and Dowdle. The Kenny, Neal or BTJ? That's a good one. I think I'm going to go with the volume and the safety of Neal on this one. I like BTJ, but again, that's a game that nobody wants to be a part of. I think This is the biggest spread of the week, with Jacksonville being 13.5-point favorites over the Jets, which I'm really expecting Etienne to get a lot of the work, and even Tootin or LeQuint, if depending on who's healthy. So uh, I'd much rather roll with Neal because I don't think the volume's going to be there for BTJ. And while he is a big play maker, I'm so nervous about that for a player who could only see potentially 4 targets. Josh Conrad, Tyler Warren, or Theo Johnson. Okay, so this is an interesting one. Again, I think it comes down to where you are. I personally have Warren higher. I saw the film of Rivers quite a bit. I watched a lot of it, and I don't think they're going to want to go deep like they had been. I don't think Rivers' arm's quite there, so I think Warren gets the boost. And so I have him rated in my top 12 just barely. Meanwhile, Theo's sitting on the outside. I know that he gets a lot of usage, but I'm unsure of what this game plan is going to be. And when it comes to the red zone, I would expect Warren is more likely to see usage over Theo just because Dart has the opportunity to score, and he also has really been leaning on Singletary. So, Scream, Kenneth Walker or Dowdle. I'm still going Dowdle. I know it's been a lot of rough games for him, so I'd much rather go with Dowdle. He's had 3 tough matchups in a row, and so his numbers aren't being there, but he's still in a direct split. And while I like Walker, he isn't the one who's more likely to score here, unfortunately. That's always going to be Charbonnet's job, it seems, and it's really frustrating because Walker has that explosive upside, but Charbonnet is the one who finds the hole and hits it, and will take the hits. So, all right, Scott, need upside. All right, if you're going upside here, I'm going to roll out Gainwell and probably Neal. I think Gainwell is one of my favorite players. He does have some risk just because he is in that split. However, he has been performing so well in PPR. Neal kind of offers a safe floor, but this is a game that I expect him to have to throw a lot, so it kind of hurts Neal. I would normally say Jacobs. I do have Jacobs rated higher, but the upside is just so capped because, again, this game they have as a slugfest between the Broncos and the Packers with a 42.5-point over-under, and Green Bay being favored by 1.5 points. I would expect that to be lower because it's also supposed to be cold, and I would expect a lot of run. So, unfortunately, when it comes to PPR, though, Jacobs doesn't see a whole lot of targets. All right, B-Rad, Dowdle, or Neal? No problem. So, again, it depends on what your comfort level is. I'd prefer Dowdle in half, again, because it's his big playability. I know Hubbard's still there, so completely understand if you want to play Neal. Neal has all the work. He's a lot safer, so that is definitely the upside of Neal, is that he has all the safety built into him, with the exception of potentially getting injured. But I love the upside of Dowdle. I think this game is going to be higher scoring than what they currently have it at, because I know that these two defenses is 41.5. I would expect it to actually be closer to a 47-point over-under than the 41. I think both these teams have shown that they can get their offenses moving, and while they both have good defenses, I still trust their ability to move the ball. All right, Elmosity, need 2. Jawan Jennings, Tet, or Chris Olave. Again, depends on what you need. The safe play is going to be Jennings and Olave. They're both probably set for around 10 fantasy points. However, I can't get away from Tet. He's carried you too far, so I'd much rather play Tet and Olave because they offer so much more upside. All right, OK State grad, starting Waller in the cold weather. I don't. I'd much rather play Gesicki. So it's not so much the cold weather. It's just Waller isn't seeing the usage that I want. Gesicki with Higgins out and Yoshivash literally squandering the game the last time Higgins was out just was brutal. So much rather go Gesicki here. Happy holidays, Jeremy. Looking for wide receiver and flex help. So I'm starting 3. Okay. Adams, Diggs, McLaurin, Wandale, Sutton. Correct. I would go with Adams, Diggs, and then I think I go for a big swing here, and I'm going to go with Pittman. Risk is definitely there, but the fact that we're unsure, I mean, the risk is really there. That makes me kind of nervous for it. Completely understand if you want bigger swing, it'd be Sutton. But again, talk about ups and downs. However, Bryant being out could be a potential. I also think this game has the potential to be a higher scoring one. So I like Sutton as a potential upside play there. Brent Johnson, Fannin or Walker or Neal. PPR, I'm going to play it safe here. I love how they've been using Fannin and the fact that Njoku's out. I can't get away from him. We talked about it in depth on Wednesday, how much I like Fannin. So, and then Brissett, Goff, Lawrence, or Lamar. That's actually a good question. I think I have Brissett the highest. I do. I have Brissett just ahead of Goff, who's just ahead of Lawrence, who's just ahead of Lamar. So they're all kind of bunched together. If you want to play it safe, I think of these options, Goff is the safest. However, I can't get away from Brissett and how well he's been playing. His lowest fantasy points on the season has been 18. I talked about it in depth again on Wednesday. I think the upside is just built in, and I'd much rather do that for the upside. Delume, pick 3. Genty, Henderson, Dowdle, Monangai, Hubbard. It's definitely made Genty, Dowdle, and then you get into all the backups. And I think I'd much rather go with Henderson just because he has that big playability. Tamara, who should I pick up and flex in his place? Assuming that's Parker Washington in any kind of PPR, I'm fine rolling out Parker. That's the other reason I'm off of Gesicki, or off of Waller, sorry, is the return of Washington. So, other thing to keep in mind. If you're chasing the upside, I completely also understand playing Shaheed because he's been being used more with Darnold, and while I don't expect them to need to use him this game, that one big bomb could be all it takes for a big game. So, makes it pretty easy for you, Tamara. All right, Delume, Watson, Rome. Again, I'm going with the safety of Odunze. I don't love it, but really, I'd much rather. It's a great matchup for him on paper. The only issue is I really hate how cold it is and the fact that the Bears have really switched to running the ball so much more. What's up, Jeff? 2 questions. All right, Dowdle, Aaron Jones, Mason. It's going to be Dowdle. Then one of my flex. Myers, Pittman. It's Wilson. Makes it really easy for me. I have Wilson as a. I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure I have him. Yeah, he's my wide receiver 10. So very few people are going to be ahead of Wilson in my list. Tony, trust Warren or Isaiah Likely? Same, Ferguson or Likely. So Warren is the much safer play. Completely understand that. However, the Bengals have been giving up points left and right to tight ends. It's like the one area they can't seem to stop. So I actually have both Andrews and Likely in my top 12 at tight end this week. Warren is just behind them at tight end 10. So it's not ideal, but and then Ferguson's also lower. I'd much rather start Likely because, again, that upside is there. The fact that Bateman is out also opens it up a little more for Likely as well. So I'd much rather lean Likely. Like I said, I have Likely the highest, but I do think in half or standard, I'd much rather play Andrews because he's more likely to score. All right, Josh. Amari and Neal, Jacoby. Neal's definitely the safest play, but it's really hard to get away from Myers at this point. In PPR, Myers has just been insane. He's been playing so well. He's the clear number 1 on that team. The only issue is, as I said, this is the biggest point spread. The 13.5 points is terrifying. That means that they can very easily run out the clock. And so I'm nervous that they will be able to do that. Tony, Michael Wilson, or Deebo Samuel is Wilson. Henderson or Neal? Neal. I'm taking all the volume on those two for sure. Pistachio, need to start a flex. Monangai, Walker, Watson. My flex is always an upside play, so I'd much rather play Watson here. I know there's a lot of risk involved with that, but I'm always swinging for the fences with my flexes. Braden, Dak or Purdy? It's Dak. Sven Tigre with Rodriguez out. David Montgomery or Jeremy Nichols? I don't like either of these. I would guess I would go McNichols, but I don't want to. It's PPR. That's the only thing that helps McNichols is it really only takes one big play from him. And this is a game that he could do that in. And Montgomery has really just been relegated so far to the back with Gibbs needing the points. And this is another week that they're going to need points, and they're going to use a lot of Gibbs, unfortunately. Trader Joe. Wide receiver, PPR, need one. Man, again, it really is dependent on what you need. I think Higgins is the safest play of all of these. I really like Burden with Odunze potentially out, but they kind of have been limiting both, and it's been hurting each other. And so while I like Burden and think the opportunity's there, Higgins is definitely a safe play. However, if you are chasing upside, as I continue to say, I love Watson for that. He's the big play guy. We're unsure of where Surtain's going to go. Even then, Watson's most likely to see the end zone of the players. One thing that Love looks for him at is in the red zone, and so getting away from that's going to be tough. Royce, Ramondre Stevenson, or Singletary? I'm going with Stevenson. He's one leading the backfield still, and this is a great matchup run funnel against the Bills. So, Tamra, Goff, Mariota, Shook. If you're looking for the upside, I think Goff has the most. I think that's the highest scoring game of the week. As of right now, the Lions, they're at 54.5 over under, and I think that might still be too low. And they're the highest scoring game of the week, so I'm sticking with it. I'm going with Goff. Would you start Mariota or Knicks over Darnold? I am fine. I think Mariota is the safest play of these options because he gives you the right in the middle, the safe floor with upside. However, if you're just tasting upside, it's Knicks, and if you just want floor, it's Darnold. So I literally have it that way with Knicks I have him ranked as my QB7 because I think there's a lot of potential he's going to have to throw in this game. They're not going to be able to just run it. And so I think the Packers are going to be able to put up points, and I think they're going to have to struggle to move the ball. So they're going to have to throw, which I think gives Knicks a jump up. All right, Tony. It's still going to be Wilson. Wilson's your biggest upside, and it's not close. Daniel Eberhardt, good morning. Funny thing is every week except for the 1 week with MHA, Wilson has put up 30 points pretty much. So none of the other players have gotten that close. McMillan might have gotten close to 30, but Wilson has just been insane, no matter what the matchup is. And garbage time's still going to be there. All right. Sorry. Back to Daniel. My bad. Got to make up for Pitts and Baker points. Oy. All right. Dowdle, Brown, Neal, Henderson. I still think you have to go. That's PPR. I'm going to play it safe here because I think it will help enough that I'm going to go Brown and Neal because the PPR points are going to be there. Unfortunately for Dowdle, the PPR is hurt because Hubbard has kind of been taking over that role, and I don't like it nearly as much. All right, Vinny. Pick 3. Olave, Waddle. It's going to be Waddle and Wilson. And then I'm probably going to roll out Genty. I'm completely fine if you want to roll Olave, but it's difficult to trust that. All right, Trader Joe. Let's see. Jenton, Tracy, Hampton, Dowdle, Standard. Oy. That's close. I think at that point, oh my gosh, I just don't. The thing for Genty is that the opportunity's there, and they don't have Carter again, and he will have the full workload as well as somebody who can pass him the ball. But this is Standard, so who's more likely to score? Of that, I would go to the point spread, and I'm more willing to trust the Panthers, who have a 4-point favorite. The game is set for 4 points higher than what the Raiders game is. So I'd go Dowdle, but it's really close. If it's any kind of PPR, I'd much rather prefer Genty. So Walter Courtney, good morning. Monongai, Singletary, Walker, need 2. Is it PPR? If it's PPR, I'm probably going to go Monongai and Walker. If it is just touchdown based, I'm going to go Monongai and Singletary. And then Darnold, I have Dart higher significantly. The gang's all here. It's Fanon. Fanon over Warren all day. Morning, DJ, please. Playoff Schultz or Henry. Talking about over-unders, Bills, Buffalo has a pretty high one. That's a game that continues to just surprise people. I think there's a lot of opportunity for upside, so I'm going to play Henry. Daniel, Mariota, or Brissett. Again, I'm trusting Brissett, dude. He's done so well. Even in garbage time, the opportunities are going to be there. I just trust him so much more than Mariota, unfortunately. Vault YA, Cook, running. So you need 2. Okay. Who to start? It's going to be Genty and Judkins. Not by much, though. Tamara, May, Party, Stroud. It's May. Again, talking about higher runners. Still think the Bills and Patriots are the game to watch. Swift or Aaron Jones? It's Swift. All right. Okay, State grad. Oh, my gosh. Need 2. Yeah, that hurts. Definitely going to be DK because you get returning yards. And then, yeah, I'm unfortunately probably going to throw in Walker. Sorry, man. I was really hoping Rod would be there to help you because this game was set up so nicely for him. Trader Joe, likely Gesicki or Will Ferguson. Really depends on what you need. I think Gesicki's the safest, while likely offers more upside. So don't think you go wrong. I want one of the 2 in that game because that's also one that's set to be pretty high scoring, but both defenses are beat up and just horrible. So Daniel, assuming Adams plays, pick one. Wandale, Shakir, Pierce. At that point, I'm going to be I'm probably going to play it safe and play Wandale. But if you want the upside, Shakir is definitely that. I'm not trusting Rivers to throw to Pierce at this point. Seattle, KC, it's Seattle, and it's not close. Seattle's my number 1 defense on the week. Trader Joe, Wilson or Tracy? It's Wilson. No problem. Good luck. Andrew, great start with Pitt. That a baby. It's one of my hot starts from Thursday. Part of the reason I brought him up to make sure people knew. Currently have T-Law starting, Knicks benched. So I have Goff slightly ahead of Trevor Lawrence, but I'm fine just holding Lawrence. I think Knicks has a lot more upside, but if you're just set at this point, I'd roll with T-Law and hope because I think he gives you a safe play. Bradley, Marks, Tet, Jameson Williams, or Olave. I need one more, so I'm picking 2. It's definitely going to be Marks, and then I'm probably going to dance with the one who brought me in Tet, but I completely understand why I play Jameson. The upside is so significant in that game. The over-under is right where you want it. I think this game could be a shootout, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But I still go with what I trust a little more, and I think Marks and Ted have just such great matchups that that's not fair. Ted doesn't have a great matchup, but he's been there for every week and really hasn't just cratered you at all. And I think this is a game that they're going to have to throw, and I think that benefits Ted a bit. Daniel, Dart or Hurts? That's a good one. I still think I have Dart higher. Yes. I have Dart 2 spots higher. He is my quarterback 4 for this week. Roy Scooby, pick 2, so I'm picking 4. Okay, so I'm sitting 1, 2. No, that's only 4. Oh, they're just for flex, but never mind. I'm reading that completely wrong. I'm playing Hall and Neal. Makes it easy. DJ, please. CD, Tet, swap any for Watson or Sutton. Only if you want more upside, I might play Watson over Tet, but I think you're fine. They say Jacobs is going to play, Daniel. That's where they're at right now. I haven't got any other notifications. So, unfortunately, you're kind of stuck at that point. Bradley, May or Dart? I have them back-to-back with May being 1 spot higher, so you barely get the boost. All right, sorry, I want to get that posted before I did anything else. All righty, back to it. That dude named Billy, picking 1 for flex. Yeah, I know, lad. So if you are potentially looking for a streamer as well, Trey Harris becomes an option because I do think that I liked his usage, and without Johnson and without Darius, I think he has to step up here. But with that in mind, I think I'd much rather go with the matchup of Adunze, but it is really close with Shakir. I think both of them offer safe plays, but they also offer quite a bit of upside based on the matchups. Yeah, yo, mama, Vidal, Tootin, Adunze, Watson. Again, chasing the upside, I'm going to go Watson. If you want to play it a little safer, Vidal's probably the answer, but I don't want to trust the run game against that Chiefs run D who's been pretty solid all year. Andrew, Addison, or Neal? I'm still going to trust it a little more. Neal just has so much work. I love this matchup for Addison. I currently have him raked pretty high. I want to make sure I pull it up so I give you an accurate representation of where he's at. He's a wide receiver 2 for me. He's at 21 in PPR. So I think there's a lot more upside for him. So if that's what you need, much rather roll Addison. RPSD, Stevenson, Pollard, or Singletary, only one. Going to play Stevenson, who I know is seeing a majority of the work. I do like Singletary because I think he's expected to score, but I don't want to trust that. Tony, again, we come down to what you need. Dowdle's a safe play, but I love Gainwell. The upside's there. He's been being used. He's been very explosive. Him and Warren have been back-to-back in just their usage the past 3 or 4 weeks, and they're using Gainwell in such a way that he's just looking incredible and keep staying healthy. Sorry, I had to knock on wood as I continued my sentence, but yes, really depending on what you need. PPR, I'd much rather trust Gainwell because I know he's catching passes. So, Brady Lee, Keenan, Judy, Jawan. Judy is the only safe thing here, which isn't saying a whole lot, unfortunately. I want to trust Allen because he normally does okay against the Chiefs, but that game just scares me. It's going to be very cold. So, not a big fan of that. Andrew, Addison, Chuba, Neal, Monungai. Still, it's between Addison and Neal, and I'd probably go Addison just because I think the upside's there. Kenny, Harvey, Genty, Etienne. He's a top 6 running back for me this week. Stacy, welcome in. You two half PPR Jacobs. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Jacobs and Javonte. Double check for you. Sorry. It is. Where do I have Javonte? Yep, it's Jacobs and Javonte, but I have Dowdle right next to it. So that's a good question. They're all right next to each other. Don't think you get ruined by any of them. Splenda. I love me some Splenda. All right, full PPR. It's Addison. Not trusting Hampton in this matchup. And then Henderson and Stevenson. I'd go Stevenson because he's, again, the one who's been starting and getting more work since he's been back. TJ Rich. Need a tight end and flex. It's going to be Higgins and Strange. If you want to trace upside, you could do Parkinson, but I'm not willing to trust that. Okay, Sagrad, would I lead Gesicki? Only because this is a matchup. I think Gesicki is a lot safer. That's what it really comes down to. I also expect Gesicki is more likely to score than likely. So in half, I'd probably go Gesicki for those reasons. Yeah, yo, mama, JCM or Monungai. I'm still going to go Monungai. JCN hasn't shown me enough. I wish I could trust him. This is a great matchup, but the way maybe he'll have a big game. This was set to be such a good game for Rodriguez, but I'm with the uncertainty of what the split's going to be and how he's going to be used. I can't trust it, unfortunately. Jared, still, I think likely has more upside, but if you want to play Ferguson, we're at the same point. Ferguson's more likely to score. Likely doesn't get that role. That really goes to Andrews. Frank Rod, Tyler Warner, Ferguson. I think I have him back-to-back. Let me double-check. I do. I have him at 10 and 11 with Warren getting the edge because it is Phillip Rivers. And he loves talent in that short area target. While I expect Downs to also get a boost this week, I think Warren is actually the real benefactor of it. Jared Thompson, pick 2. Watson, Judkins, Swift, Dowdle, Jaron, Whelan, Warren, and Gainwell. I'm probably going to play safe here and go with Swift and Dowdle. It's really close with Gainwell. I like the upside of Gainwell, but if you want to go just home run swings, Watson and Gainwell. What's up, Anthony? All right. Matchup is... Oh, man, that's close. Okay, because with it being that close, I want things that I know are going to be set. So I'm going to take Jacobs and Neal here. It's really close with Warren in half. Actually, I'll double-check because it might actually be Warren over Neal in half. Yeah. Just kidding. It's going to be Warren. It's going to be Jacobs and Warren. I hate the matchup for Jacobs. I completely understand wanting to get away from it, but he's been playing so well, and so I'd much rather use what he has and then Warren on that same note. Him and Gainwell have been playing so well, but in half, it definitely leans to Warren having the upside. Frank Garrod, Flowers with no Bateman or McLaurin. That actually scares me more for Flowers, so I'm going to go McLaurin. Also, the last time they played, Flowers really struggled, so sticking with McLaurin, unfortunately. However, he does have the boost of playing with Mariota this time, so that is a positive. Okay, State grad, Walker over Corm. Yes, still going with the guy I know. Um, Again, I think the back and forth is what's going to end up hurting Quorum because while they want to back off Williams, they just can't this game. The Bug, Odunze, Reed, Allen, Likely. Still going to Odunze. Too much upside there. Completely understand wanting to play somebody else, but even through the injury, I think the opportunity is too good for him. As I said for Bird, it's the same matchup, and so I really like it for those two because of what defenses they play. So Trader Joe, playing it safe here and going Mariota. Yeah. If you wanted more upside, I could lean Shuck because I do expect that game to be higher scoring. But again, I'm not willing to trust it, and definitely not trusting JJ with how well the Cowboys have looked against softer matchups. Jorge, going at this point. I might actually. No, I can't. I have to go Tracy and Hunt. I wish I could go JCM. I just can't do it. Yeah, C-Rod being inactive has bothered me. So with that in mind, though, you're going to go Dowdle and Watson. Yeah, yo, mama. Picking two. It's going to be Marks and Swift, but man, it's close with Neal. Stacy, no problem. It's all good. I'm fine with it. Mostly because, partially because of that. That scares me. All of that. The other options terrify me. You're not sure. I would like to say Spears, but he has been great. I trust the workload that Hall has been getting. I think that Cook should be using him more. So I'm hoping this is a matchup where they have to use him more. But with how well he is and the talent that he is, I'd much prefer him over the rest. All right, Daniel. Swift, Monongai, or Tracy. Still going to go Swift. Going with the guy who brought me. Like Monongai again, but I can't get away from Swift and him still having control of the backfield. Bryce Young or Dart? It's Dart. D-Man, this is only if you're wanting to play it safe. I can't tell you in good conscience that I want to play Olave over Brown. Oh, it's Orr. Okay, yes, I'm playing Brown. I can't get away from him. Past 3 weeks, he's been really good. And this is a matchup. Sorry, I thought that said Olave over Brown. I'm like, Olave is definitely the safe play, but I can't get away from how well Brown's been playing. RPSD, Chiefs or Bears D? It's the Bears. Yep. I understand Herbert continues to get sacked a lot. However, the Bears have also stepped up their game. And now the Browns don't have the entire right side of their line playing. They don't have a right tackle or a right guard. So I'm giving the boost to the Bears. Jonathan Rodriguez. Pick two. Goddard, Devontae Smith, or Strange. It's going to be Smith and Strange. Dora Dusale. So I'm picking two. It's definitely going to be, well, it's easy. It's Diggs and Marks. I trust them the most. If you want more upside, I'm fine rolling Diggs and Williams, but that's just a straight home run swing. Like, you're unsure of what Williams' usage will be. So, Christina, happy Sunday. Pick two. Genty, Warren, Henderson. It's going to be Genty and Warren. Tony, RJ Harvey, Gainwell, or Watson or Flex. Again, the upside here is for Watson. You can't get away with how well he's been playing lately. So recency bias is kind of included, but since he's been back, he's just been on a tear. It's been really impressive and really frustrating because I really don't like Watson. And I hate suggesting that as an option for you to play. But since he has been back, he's had 4 games of double digits and all of his games have been over 6 fantasy points. So he's not going to kill you, but he also has the upside of scoring you 25 points. Double NV, Burrow or May. I still have May higher. Completely understand if you want to play Burrow, but this is a game I think that May's going to have to throw quite a bit. Allen has something to prove. All right, Cole. Mason or Knight of the Cardinals? No. I really hate the Cardinals matchup for the run and how Knight's been used. So if it's PPR, I go Knight. Otherwise, it's Mason. Usubio, Olave, or Henderson? I'm still going to go Olave. It's just safer. Jorge, Rice, or Adams? Adams. Trader Joe, Warren, or Gainwell? Gainwell. I concur. I'm really high on Gainwell, but they've been scoring about the same. So, DJ Riz, Knicks or Stroud? I still have Knicks as a safer play. Higgins or Pollard? Higgins. Oh, you can't. Cole, you have to play DK. The upside just too great for him. You're welcome. Have a good Sunday, Tamara. Jacob, pick 2. Watson, Burden, Odunze, Slayton, Booty. Probably still going to play it safe and go Watson and Odunze. I really want to play Burden, but I just can't. And I really like the home run swing of Booty. But again, the uncertainty is there and waiting in the darkness. Josh R., Olave or Henderson? Still going to trust Olave, Josh. Delume, do I pick up Krosky Merritt and start him up? No. I'm not trusting Bill over those guys, unfortunately. One, do your nails, pick 2, last 3, okay? Full PPR. It's going to be Wilson and... Oh, is it Etienne or is it Cook? I think it might be... still think I can't get away from Cook. But it's close. I have them back-to-back at 6 and 7. So I'm going to go Wilson and Cook barely. I'm completely fine playing Etienne. So if you want to go Wilson Etienne to play it completely safe because you're not sure who's scoring, I know Etienne's more likely to score than Cook is right now. Daniel, sit 1, Chase, Rice, Lamb, Harvey, or Henderson. I'm going to sit, assuming that's Jamar Chase, I'm going to sit Rice. And then I'd play Harvey. Debug, Daniel, Ferguson or Likely? It's Likely for me. Like him more. Want to do your nails? Okay. Nice work. Pick QB. I currently have Stafford the highest, but Dart is really close. Dart's probably safer, but I just can't get away from how well Stafford's been playing. So, still going to roll out Stafford. Glitchy, JMO, or Tet, really depending on what you need. Again, Williams has the most upside, but I just can't get away from how consistent Tet is. I know that's a terrifying statement to say, but he's been consistently around that double-digit mark every week, and then also has the upside of getting 33. So, do I think he gets 33 this game? No, but he also isn't going to potentially sink you with a 0 that JMO has actually gotten this year. So, Frank Rod, Guillotine, pick 4, Harvey, Tet. I'm going to go Tet, Marks, Judkins, and Waddle. Stacy, you're welcome and good luck. What's up, Jonathan? Full PPR, pick 2, Goddard, Smith, Strange. It's going to be Smith and Strange. Rob Moe, Warren, Strange, Ferguson. It's going to be, I think, Warren. Double checking, sorry. Hold up. Wait a minute. Yeah, it's Warren by 2 spots. All these are my 10, 11, and 12 at tight end. So I don't think you go wrong on this option. So also why I had to double check. Kincaid or Strange. Still have Kincaid higher. Again, think it's game script dependent. A Broom XO. Tight end, Henry or Johnson. I'm definitely taking Henry there, and then 2. Then I'm going to go Diggs and Pittman. TF5425, another tight end question. Warren or Likely? Depending on what you need. I like Likely for the upside, but Warren is more likely to score a touchdown. Want to do your nails? Dallas or Bears? I think it's the Bears are still higher, but let me double check. Yeah, I have the Bears 3 spots higher than the Cowboys. Jorge, sit 1. I'm sitting Rice. Don't want to get hurt there. Kenny Rubb, D. Smith, or Diggs? Diggs offers more upside this week, and the way that Smith has kind of mishandled his opportunities has been brutal. Nightmare, McConkey, Vidal, Hubbard, Pierce, or Pittman. Only picking one, and it's probably going to be Pittman because I think he's the safest option. Butch Fanning, what's up? Need some advice. Okay, where do you go? I'm playing Dart, and then I'm probably chasing the upside of Slayton unless you just if it's a close game, I'm going to take the points and go with Higgins because there is a little bit of wind, but I don't think it's enough that's going to affect Slayton in the deep ball. But opportunity is going to be there for Dart to potentially turn it over on those deep shots. And then lastly, Fannin Ferguson, and it's Fannin and it's not close. Al Griffith, Olave, JMO, and Debo. Really depending on what you want. Olave's been a lot safer, but Williams offers more upside. Austin, Dak, or T-Law. Yeah, I'm not worried about Dak against the Vikings. Too many good options, and he's showed it every week how good he is. So, what's up, Polo? Pick 2. Full PPR. Dobbs, Broncos, Moore Browns. DJ? Yeah, I'm not playing DJ. Besh, Mechie. Boy, I don't like any of that. I'm probably going to go Besh, but that's rough. Is Trey Harris available? Actually, you know what? See if Juju's available. I'm not kidding. This might be a great Juju game. All right, Endos. It's Fannin. I have Fannin as my tight end number 3 this week. Rob Mode, Jags or 49ers? That's a good one. I have the Jags 2 spots higher than the 49ers. Both are favorited by double-digit points, so also something to keep in mind. Dayton, is it worth paying Pittman? It depends on other options. I still don't think you can get away from Pittman. It did get a slight downgrade because I do know that in the past, Rivers has been more locked in on downs, which I think then now pivots to it being Warren. So I have dropped Pittman all the way down to my wide receiver 28. Sorry. Because he's just in a spot that I'm unsure of what the consequences are. There's a lot of people in this area that include like Sutton and Debo. So I don't think you can get away from him, but it really is dependent on other options because I have 26 people ahead of him. Granted, 2 of them played before. So Austin, Zay Flowers, or Higgins. Yep, I agree. I'm staying away from Flowers, especially with Bateman out. He's usually struggled in that case, so I'm going to go Higgins. Take my 6+ fantasy points and hope for the best. SBF, Juwan Jennings, Watson, or Sutton. Again, can't get away from it. I do think Sutton has more upside, but the way that Love has been targeting Watson in the end zone, I just trust that so much more. Frank Rod, it's Fannin. You're welcome, Jonathan. Lamb or Wandale? Still going to go Lamb, Jonathan. Rooney. Sorry, I have to start saying last name. Sorry, I didn't realize there's so many of you. Ice Cold, Hunter Shakir. Nope, don't be worried about the snow. Snow's not the issue. Wind and rain are more of an issue. We just saw one of the best snow games as Buffalo played last week, so not scared of this either. Trader Joe. Okay, if you get any points for returns, it's DK. Otherwise, you have to stick with Watson. I want to do your nails. Pick 2. I'm going to go with Kincaid and, oh my gosh. You have to go Corum, unfortunately. I just can't trust Pierce with Rivers. I wish I could. It's a great story. I'm super excited for it. I'm a big Phillip Rivers guy, being a Chargers fan, but I can't trust him to throw that deep ball anymore. I watched a lot of his throws, and while it looks similar, you can tell he's slower, and he doesn't have the arm strength that he used to. So, RPSD, Ted or Wandale. Again, going with the upside, Ted. Wandale, they haven't been targeting deep, and it's been extremely frustrating. Jules, it's going to be Loveland for me. I wish I could trust Gadsden, but with how fast people are coming to Herbert and this game, I'm terrified to trust him. And he's just, anytime he's been targeted lately, it's been a miss. So, Shazad, McBride, likely it's McBride. Murray. Oh, standard. Bowers or Warren? I still have Bowers higher. Premium Bliss. Terry or Wilson? I have Wilson. Wilson's my wide receiver 10. Hard to beat him this week. Shazad, Chuba, Henderson, Pickens, standard. Oh, man. I still think I'm going to go with Pickens. The other two are just, there's too many questions around them. Especially in standard. I would expect that Chuba would be the most likely to score, but it's really close with Pickens. Williams or Henderson? Again, I think this is dependent on what you need. Henderson's, you're probably looking at a 6 minimum. Meanwhile, Williams has a more opportunity for upside. This is a game that I've really liked how they've been using him lately. So I'd prefer to play Williams because the upside is just so massive there. So much rather play Williams. Okay. Aja. Vinny just added Mariota and deciding for Knicks or him now. Again, I think Mario's a much safer play, but I have Knicks higher because he offers a lot more upside. I think this is a game that he's going to have to throw. So with that in mind, the opportunities are there, but it also makes it very iffy. PS3 family, Hunt or JCM. If it's any kind of PPR, it's Hunt. Kind of just went through that. Marie Standard, have Dart, Robinson, or Watson. I mean, given the opportunity, I'm always going to play a quarterback, so it's going to be Dart. Don't know who Robinson is. Oh, Wandale or Watson. Superflex, I'm always playing Dart. If that isn't actually Dart and somebody else, at that point, I'm probably going to chase the upside with Watson. So, Trader Joe, Sutton, Watson, Higgins, or Pearsall. Chasing the upside again, going back to Watson and his usage. Oh, yeah, I'm not doing that, Polo. Much rather we'll roll with Besh, just because I think that's who Pickett will look at. Daniel, B. Thomas, McLaurin, or Smith. Go McLaurin. You're welcome, Frank. CJ or Shadur. I have CJ higher. Unfortunately, they're in a really good matchup, so he's also gives you a safer floor. Nightmare. Judkins. So I'm only picking one. Michael Wilson. Thank you. Oh, I'm glad he was on there. I was going to be screwed otherwise. Riley, Judkins, or McMillan. PPR, I'm taking McMillan, but completely understand you wanted to play Judkins. He's a lot safer player. Chaz, happy to help. So I got a question. Neil Jacory, you can't get away from Neil. He's carried you this far the past handful of weeks. Bills, you might have luck with, and Tracy again. The issue for Tracy is Singletary. Singletary's been getting the red zone work, and not having a touchdown as a running back really hurts you, unless you're just seeing a bunch of targets, and Tracy also isn't seeing that. So, Dayton, pick 2, Smith, Watson, Allen, Pittman. Okay, it's going to be Watson and Pittman, and then flex 1, Stevenson, Singletary, or Neal. I'm going to go Stevenson. Run funnel, baby. Will Rich, Warren, or Kelsey. Yeah, that's actually pretty close. Again, I'm going with Kelsey, though, because of the fact that it's a Chargers. Kelsey usually does a pretty good job against us, usually hitting double digits every week. And then while I like Warren, I think the opportunity is a lot higher for Warren. Trusting that is so iffy because we don't know what Phillip Rivers looks like or who he's going to favor. So, makes it a lot more iffy. Go with the thing you know. Jared Thompson, Dicker or Pinheiro? Dicker. Going to be able to move the ball. Don't know if they're going to be able to score it. Square up. Jerry Jeudy or Higgins? They're kind of the same thing. I trust the volume of Higgins a little more. So I'm probably going to lean Higgins and PPR to be safe, but it's close. I want to do your nails. Pickens or Wilson? It's Wilson. Again, can't quit him this week. Willrich, Adams, Flowers, Sutton, Adams, and Sutton. Scared of Flowers this week. Sean Carroll, D2, Hall, Monungai, Tracy, Jacoby Myers. Who do I go with? If it's any kind of PPR, it's going to be Myers and Hall. If it is not PPR, it is going to be Hall and Monungai. Benson, need one. Wide receiver and a flex. Myers, Sutton, Monungai. I'm going to go with your wide receivers. I'm taking Sutton and Myers. Willrich, Hunt, or Jones? Don't like either of them. Going to go with Jones because of how bad that team looks and the fact that they don't have their tackles again. Yeah, yo mama, Adunze, Watson, McConkey. It's Watson still. Deloom, Jawan, or Gadsden? It's Jawan. Trade Joe. Thumbs up. Say, Oli, you're back. Okay. One flex and a tight end. All right. It's going to be... Actually, I'm taking both tight ends. Terrified of Mitchell. Unsure what the problem is. Unlikely. again, when it comes to that, you're more worried about them being able to plant, and they normally clear a spot pretty well. And they're more likely to slip in rain than snow. So I'd much rather them it be snowing. I'm not too worried about the kickers. All right, Will Rich, Schultz or Ferguson? Ferguson. Jules Carney, Goff or Nix? I got Nick Goff. He's so much safer, but the upside is there for Nix. I just can't get away from Goff, and I know the matchup is tough, but the play is a lot safer than Nix, especially in this matchup. So you're welcome. Jorge, Gainwell, or Monangai? Standard. Standard, it switches because that means I'm looking for touchdowns, and I think Monangai is more likely to score a touchdown. Oh, ice cold coming in with the kicker question just to sink me. You have to make me take time off the clock. I still have Little higher. Not by much. He's 4 spots higher, which I think ends up being like 3 or 4 points. So, Will Rich, Kelsey over Air. Yes, I'm playing Kelsey over Jones. Jared Thompson, picking one. Judkins, Swift, or Gainwell. Oh my gosh. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go with the guy who has a full-time job at Judkins. Honestly, it's really close between him and Swift. So if you want to play Swift, completely understand it. Browns have been really kind of letting big runs go, which hasn't been ideal the past few weeks. But Judkins gets full usage. He gets all the touches, which is a big benefit. And now with Sampson out, he's also getting some passing work. So PPR makes me want to lean Judkins just barely, but completely understand if you want to stick with Swift because it's safer. Sayoli, Seattle or Houston? I have Seattle as my number 1 defense this week. Yeah, yo, mama. Packers or Panthers D? That's close. I have them back-to-back with Panthers getting the edge. The Bug 50. PPR, Rice, Neal, or Wandale. Taking what's safe and going with Neal. Joe Sizzle. Half PPR, Fannin or Kelsey? Fannin. Sean Carroll, you're welcome. I hope you have a good weekend. Good luck. Lo-Fi. Mariota or Lawrence? I have him back-to-back with Mariota getting the edge because I think he's going to have to throw more. Bernard. Tough situation. JJ or Watson? Got to go with Watson. Justin isn't performing, unfortunately. Chaz, if you had to start 3, I will be sitting. If it's PPR, I'm sitting Dowdle. If it's standard, I'm sitting Neal. Pizza. Seattle or Houston? Seattle. Lo-Fi. Warren, likely or... It's likely for me, but completely understand if you want to play Warren to be safe. And then I have Mariota for higher upside. Marie Swift. Jackson Dart. What? It's going to be Dart. We're playing Dart. Chase Brown or Hampton? Brown. Jacoby or Rice? Myers. Happy holidays. Jules. Satchmo. Pick 2. Jacobs, Kincaid, Strange. It's going to be Jacobs and... Kincaid, sorry. I forgot to move Kincaid back up. Will Rich, Javonte or Judkins? It's going to be, I think it's Judkins. Let me double check. Come on. Get back to the rankings. Yep, it's, just kidding, it's Javonte. I have Javonte pretty high. Again, full workload and a decent matchup. Daniel, Henderson or Dowdle? I still have Dowdle higher. So... Close, but no cigar. Guys aren't ready. Please like and subscribe. Appreciate it. Peter, see you here. Okay. Higher ceiling, McLaurin, Genty, or Hall. I have Genty with the highest ceiling here. I like McLaurin, but again, the way they use him, he's kind of the deep threat. And so you need deep threat with a touchdown in a game that I'm not too worried about the Commanders kind of controlling. So I can't really trust that. Decent over-under. But both of these teams aren't great, and so the upside for McLaurin's really kind of limited. It does become more interesting with the fact that now C-Rod is out, because I do think they actually do have to throw more, but unfortunately I think that ends up going to McNichols and Debo over McLaurin, unfortunately, with it also being Mariota at the QB instead of it being Jaden. That's terrifying. Good luck. I hope it pays off, man. Moore is one of the most terrifying wide receivers this year. I also don't really trust Mechie, but we'll see how the rookie does. It's Cook season. All right, Daniel. Myers, McLaurin, or Wilson. Still going with Wilson. None of them are higher than Wilson. McMillan or Judkins. That's interesting. Depends on what you need. Riley. Again, I think I'm going with a guy who's been there for me every week in Tet, but I completely understand if you want to play Judkins. He's been doing pretty well. Has a safe floor. I like the fact that they're using him in the passing game. Anthony, Burrow or Dart? I have Dart still ahead. Wandale or Myers? I still trust Myers just a little more. Are you kidding me? Adunze's not out, is he? If that's the case, we go back to it. All right, then you got to play Burden. Crap, that's big. Now I have to make an adjustment. Because that... Finally, my guy is back. Okay, Adunze becomes a must start, guys. Holy nonsense. All right, kick him off. Grab Burden. Love the breaking news. I appreciate you guys so much for helping with that. Adunze now moves up into my wide receiver 14. Good luck starting much over him. So, I still have Kittle higher, Pizza. Oh, that's almost bad. That looks right. That looks right. Yeah, oh, that's fine. Okay. Debo or Myers? I'm going to trust Myers more. That a baby. You got to play Burden at this point. Kyron, I'm going to play Williams and Brown. Gaston or Strange. You're playing Burden over all of that. It's close with Fannin, but Burden has so much upside in this matchup, and then you're playing Warren, Daniel. Sorry, I want to get everybody's questions answered before kickoff, so hopefully that comes through fast. Whew, that was big. Having a Doomsday News break on, man, thank you. Thank you for pulling that, because I didn't have my notifications up. Wow, savage. Well, this is week 15. I'm glad you made it to the playoffs. Hopefully you weren't relying on a Doomsday, and you had Burden there, like a good player is always ready. A lot of opportunity. Should be safe. Good luck in week 15. Very interesting. But appreciate y'all. Please like and subscribe. I will be back. So Monday. Okay, forgot to mention. Next week, or not next week, 2 weeks. So our Wednesday show is moving to Tuesday. That way it's not on Christmas Eve. So otherwise, next week's shows are normal. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So here, Monday, waiver wire. Wednesday, roster of people. Thursday, I'll do start sits. Friday, betting show. Sunday, I'm back here. However, the week following, it will go Monday, waiver show. Tuesday, all this nonsense. Thursday would be after Christmas Eve. Because the games have already happened, I'm not going to do that Thursday show. Friday will be the same, and then Sunday, I'll be back answering questions like usual. All right. Good luck in week 15. Appreciate you all. And remember, as always, to keep up the nonsense. I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.